What's going on, guys? I know it's taken me a little while to make this video, but I wanted to talk about the Minnesota Vikings draft a couple of weeks ago and what I think about it. I have some gameplay here showing some of their prospects, including number 4 overall pick after the Vikings traded down. They took Matt Kalil, left tackle, out of USC, and he's going to look to anchor the Vikings offensive line and hopefully be a franchise left tackle for many years to come and protect Christian Ponder's blind side. So you guys know I love that pick. I was campaigning for Matt Kalil to be drafted for a very long time, made videos about it, talked about it on Twitter, and so I was very excited to see them take him, and I was very happy after that. And also in this video, you can see here number 40, that is Rhett Ellison, who the Vikings took in the 4th round. He's going to kind of be the Jimmy Kleinsasser position, play a little bit of tight end, play some fullback. And while I questioned the pick at first, it kind of makes sense now because Kleinsasser's gone, and I think he can fit into some of the twin tight end stuff on running downs. But back to the 1st round, the Vikings traded up and they took Harrison Smith, 29th overall safety out of Notre Dame, one of the higher rated safeties in this draft, and I like this pickup a lot. I've seen him play a little bit at Notre Dame, and he was pretty impressive. Good plays on the ball, and the Vikings safety play last year was not very good, so it definitely needed to be addressed, and I think he's going to be a starter day one. And the Vikings also drafted another player from Notre Dame, who you're seeing right here, cornerback Robert Blanton, who might get moved to safety for the Vikings. I heard he was impressive in the Minnesota Vikings rookie minicamp, and he's probably going to get the opportunity to play some safety because there's really a lot of uncertainty at that position right now. But they didn't have Harrison Smith in this game, at least in my roster, so I had to go and play with Arkansas now, who the Vikings drafted 2 players also from, Jarius Wright and Greg Childs, 2 receivers that grew up together. I believe they met each other in 3rd grade. And then they played college football together, now they're going to the same NFL team. So that's a pretty cool story. And the Vikings drafted Jarius Wright at 98th overall. And I like this pickup because I don't think there's anybody the Vikings have that can truly be a backup to Percy Harvin. He's a slot receiver, good speed and quickness and hands. And Wright had 66 catches last year, over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns. So that's very, very good production from a guy like Wright, who can play on the outside a little bit. He can play in the slot. He can do returning. And Greg Childs, he's 6'3". He has some speed, but he did tear his patella, I believe, during his 2010 season. I can't quite remember, when he won the Fred Biletnikoff Award, I think it was. And then he came back from his injury too quickly, had a very unproductive season last year before coming out to the draft. And so hopefully he can be at 100% and bring some production to the Vikings offense. We really need some more receivers on the outside that are big, fast, can work the way downfield and open up the guys underneath Percy Harvin and help create some room for Adrian Peterson to run. And now, I know I'm jumping around all over the place here, but 3rd round the Vikings took Josh Robinson. And I was watching the draft with one of my friends, and I was just saying, Josh Robinson's available. Please draft Josh Robinson. And the Vikings did. And the reason why I liked him so much is because he was a good zone fit. And he has 4.3 speed. He ran the fastest 40-yard dash at the combine. And the Vikings have like no speed on their defense, and so this could definitely help him out. I could see him being worked into the starting role because Antoine Winfield's aging and Chris Cook's likely to play on the outside, and maybe Robinson after a while can get acclimated with the team, and he can play opposite of Chris Cook, and Antoine Winfield can play more in the nickel. But for the Vikings' first 6 picks, I was happy. I think at least they're going to get 2 starters, Harrison Smith and Matt Kalil, and perhaps Josh Robinson can get thrown into the starting role after a while. And we'll see about Robert Blanton. I don't really know a whole lot about him, and the Vikings also have some depth in the secondary with Jamarcus Sanford and Mitchell Raymond. It's likely going to be a competition between Blanton, Raymond, and Sanford to see who's going to lock down the opposite starting safety spot, assuming Harrison Smith gets the other one. And now in round 6, the Vikings, this was another questionable pick at the time when they took Blair Walsh, kicker out of Georgia. But now the Vikings, they cut Ryan Longwell a week ago. It makes sense now. Youth movement, Walsh has a very strong leg, and while he kind of had a down season last year, especially from over 40 yards, only 7 for 17, but he was impressive at the combine according to the Vikings general manager Rick Spielman. And he has a strong leg that will come in handy on special teams during kickoffs, and the Vikings will hopefully get some more touchbacks this year, as they were ranked 29th in touchback percentage this past season when Ryan Longwell was doing the kickoff duties. So now in the 7th round, the Vikings had 2 more picks. They picked Adi Cole, NC State inside linebacker. This was a very good valued pick for where they got him. He had over 100 tackles last year, and the Vikings got a chance to see him when they were coaching the Senior Bowl, and they also coached Harrison Smith. So they drafted 2 guys they've already coached before. And then with their final pick, the Vikings drafted Trevor Guyton, defensive end. And I don't know a whole lot about him, but it's definitely defensive line. He can play some defensive tackle as well. He's pretty big. And so I was happy with the Vikings' overall draft. There was a couple questionable picks at the time, and we'll have to see how good Greg Childs is going to be and if he can step in and be a productive player for Christian Ponder, and also where Jarius Wright's going to fit into the team. And so now we take a look at the Vikings depth chart. You can see your fullback. I'm not expecting both of these guys to make the team, the 53-man roster going into the regular season, so I'm expecting Rhett Ellison to really play some more fullback and probably some tight end as well. At receiver, the Vikings have so much more depth now, having drafted Greg Childs and Jarius Wright, and they've already picked up Jerome Simpson. So you got Jenkins on the outside, Jerome Simpson's got some speed as well, Harvin in the slot, and you also have Jarius Wright and Greg Childs. I think it's a lot more quality depth and potential for the Vikings to have some impact players. And the receiving core was not very good last year, looks to be much improved for this coming season. Looking at tight ends, the Vikings picked up John Carlson this past offseason, and neither Carlson or Rudolph are great blockers, so I could see one of these guys coming out in like twin tight end formations when the Vikings want to run the ball more, and they'll put in Rhett Ellison and provide some better blocking. Now, Charlie Johnson played left tackle for the Vikings last year. Khalil's going there. He's going to start right away, and Charlie Johnson will then move to left guard. And they also have John Sullivan at center, who had a great year last season. So the Vikings have a pretty solid line this coming year at right guard. They picked up Jeff Schwartz this offseason. He's going to probably battle with Brandon Fusco to see who can start at right guard. And right now, Lord Holt's playing right tackle. So they could have a pretty decent offensive line this coming year, at least much improved from past season. Trevor Guyton's probably going to be just some defensive line depth. LaTroy Guyon's likely going to start playing opposite of Kevin Williams. Jasper Brinkley right now is looking like the Vikings starting middle linebacker if they don't sign Rocky McIntosh, who they worked out last week. And Brinkley was on the IR all last year, so we didn't get to see him play. And at cornerback, the Vikings have some more depth this year, having picked up Zach Bowman and Chris Carr. And I'm looking forward to see what Josh Robinson can bring to the table, because I'm really excited about him, and I wanted the Vikings to draft him really bad. And then at safety, Harrison Smith will fit in here somewhere, and then Mistral Raymond, Jamarcus Sanford. There's still uncertainty at the position with some young players. Mistral Raymond was a 6th-round pick last year, and Jamarcus Sanford was a 7th-round pick the year before. And so they at one point last year were both starting, and they didn't have very much experience. Jamarcus started most of the year last year, and so Harrison Smith is going to get called on to hopefully be a starter day one. Longwell is now cut. Blair Walsh is the Vikings' new kicker. And so as far as offense and defense goes, I'm looking at the Vikings possibly having 2 to 3 starters from this draft. Hopefully Harrison Smith and Matt Khalil by day one. And we'll see what happens with guys like Josh Robinson and Greg Childs and Robert Blanton. It's going to be a fun offseason to watch these guys. And I'll hopefully have some more to talk about when OTAs and training camp comes. But for now, I'm excited about the Vikings draft class. I like a lot of their picks. Matt Khalil, Harrison Smith, Josh Robinson, the 3 guys I'm very excited about, as well as Jarius Wright and Greg Childs. I'm looking forward to see what all these guys bring to the table and how they're going to contribute to the Minnesota Vikings. So leave your guys' thoughts on how the Vikings did in the draft. I know it's been a couple of weeks, but as the offseason progresses, we'll have a lot more to talk about. So thank you guys for watching. Leave your feedback, and I'll see you guys next time.